Hello, Jack here. This is the first of what I'm calling my throwback episodes, which are episodes from my first and second transition-related YouTube channels with some added context and commentary. Things like stuff I left out in those videos, stuff I learned in retrospect, and things that have changed, opinions that have changed. So this particular video is a repost of my very first transition YouTube video. It was from March of 2011, and I am extremely baby in it. This is me before testosterone, and it is 2 weeks after my very first gender therapy appointment. Now, to be honest here, it was really hard watching this video. I was trying really hard to convince myself that I needed therapy for my own personal reasons, that it was a choice for me to be in therapy, that I had stuff to work through, but I'll go into why that wasn't the case. Anyway, you get to see baby me at 26 years old, and current 36-year-old me will pop in from time to time to add some sage commentary. So let's begin.
Hello, it's Jack, and the topic today is a little late. It's my very first gender therapy appointment. A week and a half ago, I had my first appointment through a gender program in Milwaukee, and it went swimmingly. Basically, I don't think I'm going to have any problems whatsoever in this program at all, because a lot of the stuff that's covered in it is stuff that I've already done. For example, part of it is getting your name legally changed, which I have actually already done, and it's been that way since 2009. Stuff like coming out to your parents. I came out to my parents in 2003. That's water under the bridge. I'm also already pretty deep in the local community, and I've done a great deal of research, so honestly, what else do I need? And I mean, the answer is, truthfully, I do still need a lot, which is why I'm going through a traditional gender program and not one of the newfangled other programs that they have right now.
So here's where I need to make the first clarification. I did not choose to go to a gender therapist. I had hyped myself up to call an informed consent clinic down in Chicago for months, and when I finally got the nerve to call them, they rejected me because I wasn't close enough to them. So getting hormones without months of therapy was a new concept back then. It existed, but it wasn't accessible for a lot of people. I was one of the ones that it was not accessible for at the time, and I was having a really hard time accepting that I had no option other than to just go a more traditional therapy route where I was living at that time. My therapist also made me feel extremely bad for feeling the way that I did about therapy, so I retreated into denial and convinced myself that I really needed therapy, that it was good for me, but I didn't. I got nothing out of it except for anxiety and gatekeeping.
And I'm starting to unearth some things about my past which are kind of sketchy. And that was one of the subjects that we talked about a couple of Thursdays ago. So here's what happened. I go to her office and I meet her. It was in a residential building, which was a little weird, but it was a nice residential building, so not that bad. It smelled like traditional Municipal's herbal tea, which is something that I used to drink, so it was familiar. We put together some of my family history, made some genograms, and then she asked me some intake questions just so that we could figure out where I am and where I'm going, that sort of thing. For the interest portion of this vlog, I think I'll go over what I talked about in that therapy session, because some of it's interesting and the rest of it is just a little bit creepy. So the first question was, when did you first realize that you wanted to transition? And as far as that goes, I actually have two moments in my life where that my mind actually went there. The second of which was when I actually did go there. The first was when I was watching TV at my old house in this little shittin' town that I used to live in when I was like 8 or 9 years old. I feel like it was Ricky Lake that I was watching. I'm really not sure in retrospect. Anyway, the show was about transsexual children, or cross-gender children of any type, really. And they had this little F to M boy on there whose parents weren't taking it very well. but he seemed to know what he was talking about, and they didn't seem to like the fact that he knew what he was talking about. But at the climax of this episode, this guy in the audience stands up and reveals that he himself is FDM and has been on hormones for such and such amount of time. And I remember thinking, wow, that's possible. And I mean, he was gorgeous, although that really didn't have much to do with it. The thing was, though, that since I was already kind of a masculine little girl when I was a little girl, that sort of thing just appealed to me right away. Once I noticed it, I'm like, wow, that must be where all of these feelings are coming from. And it planted a seed in my head that I sort of revisited for the rest of my adolescence, although I didn't actually take any methods or I didn't actually do anything about it. Time number 2 was I was a freshman in college part 1. I'm actually in college for the second time right now, so I refer to this as college part 1. I was living in a dorm, and I was in a figure drawing class, and so I was drawing self-portraits of myself in the lobby one day because I'd locked my keys away or left them at home or something, and I was waiting for my roommate to come let me in. I'm in the lobby drawing self-portraits, and I'm realizing that these self-portraits don't look like how I see myself, and they're pretty good self-portraits. I'm a relatively good artist. And I'm like, is it the dreadlocks? So I had these big dreadlocks at the time. I was kind of a hippie.
Jesus, sorry about that mental image. Don't worry though, I got rid of the hair shortly after that.
I look and I realize that the reason that these pictures bother me so much is that I'm so feminine in them, and so I started masculinizing them and flattening the chests and putting facial hair on them, and I realized that actually did feel like me. So I revisited that old talk show episode, and I thought, I'm aware that this is possible, and now I'm thinking that this is definitely me. So I went on the internet, and I wasn't aware of what the terminology was, but I figured it out after a couple of Google searches, and decided that yes, I was going to transition. Shortly after that, I came up to my parents and everything, and it's been a roller coaster since then, but I'm pretty set on it. So that was that part of the story. The next question that she asked is the one that's a little creepy. And she asked me, how did you react to puberty? And it's not because I didn't have a bad reaction that this is creepy, because a lot of people didn't have bad reactions to puberty. A lot of people had really nasty, like screeching reactions to things like getting their first period. A couple of people are just sort of meh about it. The problem with me is that I don't remember at all like how I reacted. I remember just logically, I have like memories, very vague memories of getting my first period, and I don't remember much about that except for that it was New Year's Eve and I was babysitting. But that's like just an episodic memory. I don't remember emotions from that time. I just remember what happened.
So here's another part where I want to clarify a bit. There's nothing creepy about my memories at all. I remember my first period fine. and obviously I remember it fine because I'm able to give a very specific story about how it happened. But the way that my therapist reacted to that made me feel ashamed that I didn't have any strong feelings one way or the other about it. So I felt compelled to sort of manufacture this narrative in which I just didn't remember those feelings instead. I wasn't lying because I didn't have strong feelings about it one way or the other, so I didn't have anything really to remember. But we just sort of rewrote this experience into something that was more friendly to this archaic gender identity disorder narrative that this therapist went on. She also decided that this meant that I was repressing painful memories. But she said that she didn't want to uproot any of these memories and cause me pain. And I'm aware that I'll talk about this next in the video, about how I don't remember my breast growing, as if it's weird. for a child not to notice gradual changes. But a while ago, I actually saw a picture of me on a beach from when I went to Canada as a child, and I'm clearly like in the midst of developing, and I definitely remember going to Canada pretty well, so it's not really that there was this chunk of my life missing from my memory. I just don't notice gradual changes in my appearance very well. It's something that's the case now. Even when I was on testosterone and marking those changes, I needed the video to notice that, because that's just how I am. It's who I am as a person. Not weird at all, but my therapist made it weird. So there's that.
And beyond that, I don't remember anything. She asked me about things like developing breasts, and I realized that I have two entirely different sets of memories from that time in my life. I have this set of memories in which I have boobs, and then I have this set of memories in which I don't have boobs, and the entire transitional period between those is entirely gone. I don't remember it at all. She suggested that maybe I'm repressing those memories. I don't know if I agree with that, because I don't feel like I'm repressing any memories. I just feel like it was a non-issue. But on the other hand, if I'm not repressing them or anything like that, why don't I remember? And that's something that sort of bothers me, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to work through that. I hope I don't remember anything particularly traumatic, but I don't think that that's going to happen. I just like to understand where my history all went.
So this is the part of the video that kind of upset me, because I did remember my therapist trying to convince me that I had repressed memories from puberty, but I totally forgot about the part where I actively disagreed with her, and it kind of confirms the first thing I said. I know that I was suspicious of my therapist while I was going to her, but I didn't feel like I had any other options, and so fucking it up with her was not an option for me. And she also had made it very clear that she would look herself up on the internet and just would make a huge deal over how hurt she felt when her trans clients criticized her. And she was a bad therapist. Like, now, 10 years later, I'm perfectly comfortable saying she was a bad therapist. She was atrocious. And it would take me years to understand just how much harm she did to me. Going off of script here, because yes, this is still a scripted video, even if I'm pretending it's not. So going off of script, when I got my top surgery, I needed a therapist letter for that too, and I was like mortified, because I expected to have to go through this same sort of shit. And then I go to this new therapist, like 8 years later, and one session that is not total nonsense, and she gives me a letter, and that's something that I wish that was, I wish it was available to me when I went on hormones. It was something that would have improved my life a great deal. But anyway, that therapist did go study, like, transcendental meditation or something in India, shortly after I was done going to her, and now she practices in North Carolina. So, North Carolinians, if you have anybody trying to convince you have repressed memories of puberty if you don't follow that standard trans narrative, might be her. Anyway.
But anyway, that was pretty much the interesting part of that therapy session. There was some stuff that's more personal that maybe I shouldn't talk about on the internet. And then there's some logistical crap that you don't need to know. And so that's basically my therapy session, my first therapy session in a nutshell. My next session is this Wednesday. So expect a vlog about that, as well as some special topics that I'm planning on doing. I decided that in lieu of doing an introductory vlog, I would just do some special topics about stuff that will come up. So until then, I'm Jack. Happy trails.
Oh, I said happy trails back then too. Anyway, that's it for my first repost with commentary from my very first channel. These videos are fairly short compared to my usual videos. Maybe not so short with the commentary, but it's important to remember that this was back when YouTube had a time limit of like 10 minutes. So they're a little bit shorter than usual. So the next therapy appointment video that I'll probably edit and throw up here will probably be from my when I got my gender marker changed on my driver's license, which I think happened like the next session. It wasn't something that happened very far along, but not sure when that'll be posted, but probably sometime within the next week. Until then, for the second time in this video, happy trails.